Hello everyone. Hopefully everybody had a good, safe Halloween. So for today, talk about the Leica Monochrome M246 and the successes and failures that I've had with this camera. So, and kind of comparing it, continuing to compare it against the M11. So one of the things that I realized is, and actually was trying to make a determination on, was whether or not I should potentially use the M246 as my everyday walk around camera. And the reality is no, it does not make a good camera for that. It is definitely a camera that you have to intend to take your pictures with this camera and accept its limitations. And some of those limitations are its available ISO modes are not as good as the M11, and it also doesn't shoot as fast as the M11. So, but you know, I did have a few successes. But those were definitely instances where I had actually planned for it. But on a little more fun note, the picture that I have up right now, that is a giant skeleton. And not to exaggerate things, but this skeleton actually towers sort of above the roofline of this house, at least the front edge of it. I don't know, but apparently somebody had a sale on giant skeletons. Several houses in our neighborhood had these giant, like 12-foot tall skeletons. And in fact, one house had 3 of these, one of which had been essentially broken in half. And it had one giant skeleton holding the pelvis of one half, and the other giant skeleton was holding the torso / rib cage portion of the other. So apparently, like I said, somebody had a big sale on these because everybody in the neighborhood has them. So there were some interesting Halloween decorations. Anyway, still was taking this from inside our car. This was at the entrance of our subdivision, so while the wife had stopped, I snapped a picture of this. And it's just hilarious, you know. There's some actual like standard size skeletons here. Amazingly, yesterday, the day after Halloween, all of this was gone. Everybody was actually really super fast at removing their Halloween decorations. So that was an interesting item to learn. Let's see. Oops. I actually have to be over here. Move on to our next photograph. As we were driving around, I took various other pictures. It was sunset. And we were driving around and exploring, so this was a picture I took. In this picture, it was really just about this plant. So nothing really special here, but it does show, you know, the sun is essentially down in the dynamic range in black and white on the monochrome 246 camera. So not bad. So technically this image is a good image. However, the issue with this image, and there's a couple. Now, first off, taken from inside the car, moving at approximately 45 miles an hour. And if you look, you can see the remains of the trail of a boat passing through the water. So the image is in focus, but there's no clouds in the sky, so there's no interest in the sky. And there's no real subject of interest in the photo except for that trail. And it could be argued, I guess, the guardrails on the road and the bridge. So this is just really a boring photograph. What's interesting to me, having been there, was the river had a lot of small whitecaps because of the wind. And that did not get reflected in this image at all. So, with no subjects of interest, and this is, a compositional issue, and this is why you'll hear landscape photographers talk about they want clouds in their sky. It gives photos an interest and breaks up the monotony of the sky. So, yeah. So technically this image is a failure. This image, I like this image. It's a good image. I like the reflection of the sunset on the water and the flare of the sunset, and we get this palm tree. Unfortunately, there's some light poles where this image was taken. They do distract from the intention of the image, but you get the idea. There's this palm tree that's being backlit by the sun, and then the sun's reflected in the water. And this kind of showcases what you can do with the M246, in capturing these kinds of images. And again, I haven't done anything to any of these images, so I could lighten this up so you see more of the buildings, but to me, I think the image works better as it is. So anyway, I just wanted to cover some of this, and also let everybody know I'm going to start producing videos that are basic photography tutorials, and I'll probably start doing that next week. So be on the lookout for that, and literally going back to the very basics, and we'll start with a little photography history, but and this is going to apply to pretty much any kind of camera you have, including your phone. And like I said, this is going to be roughly 10 episodes, which should take us through the end of the year, and we'll see what kind of interest we get out of that. And like I said, this is just going to be really basic. I'm going to show you, how to use a basic camera, any camera. I'll actually compare cameras in this as well, so you can see some of the differences to look for, and how to set up your camera and attach a lens if you have a removable lens camera, things like that. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Would appreciate a like and subscribe if you did. And beyond that, have a great week, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.